Fats made a very poor choice when it came to PR companies. At least they did in the 70s when we were told that fats make you fat, right? That seems logically, from a nomenclature perspective, to make sense, right? I eat fat and then I get fat. Well, since then, we've learned that fats don't really necessarily make you fat in the same way that sweets don't make you sweet, or being on the right doesn't necessarily make you right. So today I'm going to unpack fats, good fats, neutral fats, bad fats, where they come from, which foods you find them in, what ratios they should be consumed in, and what are some of the knock-on impacts of eating different kinds of fats, which ones are healthy and which ones are not. So I'll begin with an odious fat that should be avoided at all costs, and these are known as trans fats. So trans fats do occur in trace amounts in the natural world. Ruminants like cows do create some trans fats when they metabolize food, but overwhelmingly what you're going to find is trans fats that are made by, surprise, human ingenuity in the name of maximizing profits by using cheap ingredients to create shelf-stable products. So trans fats are essentially artificial fats. Some people call them plastic fats because their molecular structure really is almost like plastic. And they're made by adding hydrogen to unsaturated fats, particularly oils, cheap oils, canola oil, grapeseed oil, etc. And these are really detrimental to your health. Like fast food restaurants use these cheap oils, which can get hydrogenated over time because they rarely swap out the oils in their deep fryers. So, French fries and anything fried from a fast food restaurant, most generally contains trans fats. You really want to avoid it. But they're also hidden and camouflaged in all sorts of products in the grocery store, from bagels and crackers and cookies and donuts. So really anything on the label that says partially or fully hydrogenated oils, seed oils, are trans fats. And you really want to avoid them because they clog your arteries, and they lead to atherosclerosis and then cardiovascular disease. They've been linked to cancers, and your liver really doesn't like them. They can contribute to fatty liver disease and diabetes. So just avoid trans fats. Now, there's saturated fat that is prevalent, like in meat and dairy. And saturated fat isn't patently bad for you. It does raise LDL, low density lipoprotein levels, cholesterol, your bad cholesterol. And if you're in a very inflamed state, a prevalence of kind of small LDL particles can accumulate and again develop into atherosclerosis and heart disease. But I find that if you're consuming a moderate amount of very, very high quality, like grass-fed, grass-finished steaks, every once in a while that saturated fat is fine, can be good for you. The overconsumption of it, again, can lead to fatty liver disease and insulin resistance, and then all sorts of kind of metabolic diseases and metabolic dysfunction. So I would avoid too much saturated fat. Then there are the essential fatty acids, okay? PUFAs, polyunsaturated fatty acids, omega 6s, and omega 3s. Now, omega 6s also kind of get a bad rap in general, and it's really because we overconsume omega-6s in the standard American diet. Processed foods contain a lot of omega-6s. The oils aforementioned, before they become hydrogenated, but also you can find omega-6s in what are otherwise very healthy foods, like walnuts that also have omega-3s. We'll talk about that. But like avocados also have omega-6s. Now, omega-6s are pro-inflammatory. So they evoke an inflammatory response in your body, but that's not wholesale negative. We want some degree of ability to generate inflammatory responses. So like when we sprain our ankle, we want our immune system to send white blood cells, leukocytes, to the source of injury, and use inflammation for healing. The problem is right now is that we are in a chronically inflamed state. We have too much inflammation, and inflammation is concomitant with many chronic diseases. We often talk about bolstering our immune system, but we don't really want to bolster it, because in a way our immune systems right now in the West are aggravated. We heard a lot about cytokine storms as one of the primary sources of mortality with COVID. Well, that often stems from an over aggravated or agitated immune system in which there's too much inflammation. So what we really want is a balanced immune system that has an equal amount of inflammatory capabilities, but also some anti-inflammatory capabilities, and that's where omega-3s come in. So omega-6s are pro-inflammatory. Omega-3s are anti-inflammatory. And right now, the problem is that we get about 20 times the omega-6s as we do omega-3s. And really, that ratio should be somewhere 3-1, 2-1, even 1-1. So where do we get these omega-3 fatty acids? And I should just say that they're both essential fatty acids. And what I mean by that is that our bodies do not produce these fatty acids endogenously. We have to exogenously get them through diet. Okay. So omega-3s can be consumed in a variety of different ways. So many people get their omega-3s from fish, specifically the smash fish. So sardines, mackerel, anchovies, salmon, herring. These are generally oily fish that are low in the food chain, which is good so they don't accumulate as much heavy metals, for example. And they have a lot of omega-3 fatty acids. So you can get your omega-3s through the consumption of fish. Now, another way to get it is through fish oils. Like, there's a lot of supplements like sockeye, salmon, fish oil that contains omega-3s. So you can get omega-3s there. You can also get omega-3s through eating omega-3 eggs. So I have an egg here, strangely camouflaged in this walnut bag. And that is because omega-3 eggs come from chickens that are eating plant source omega-3s. So they're eating flax or chia or maybe hemp. So the chickens eat the flax, lay the eggs, and then the eggs have higher concentration of omega-3s. Okay, so that makes sense. Now, walnuts here have, like I mentioned, omega-6s, but they also have omega-3s. But this is where you kind of have to pull apart some of the information, because there are 3 different kinds of omega-3 fatty acids. There's DHA, there's EPA, and there's ALA. So plant sources of omega-3s like walnuts or chia or flax are generally ALA omega-3s. Now your body can convert ALA omega-3s to DHA and EPA, but it doesn't do so very efficiently. So really what you want to find are omega-3s that are the best source of specifically DHA. Why? Because half of your brain is fat and your eyes are fat, and most of that fat is DHA. So for brain health, and particularly for eye health, you want to make sure that you're consuming enough DHA omega-3s. Now, omega-3s are beneficial for a whole host of other physiological reasons. They're good for cardiovascular health. They're good for sperm generation, actually. They're very good for, as I said, for brain health. And, I've read certain studies that the consumption of omega-3s has more effect on mood regulation than the consumption of antidepressants, SSRIs like Zoloft or Paxil or Prozac. Particularly if you have any presentation of the ApoE4 allele, the gene that creates greater predisposition for Alzheimer's, you should really be getting your omega-3s, particularly DHA. Okay. So there's a few, and then I should say that if you don't want to eat fish, or you do not want to take fish oil, or you do not, for example, hunt bison or deer, who and wild game would be also higher in omega-3s because they're eating grasses that contain the omega-3s. Well, there is another plant-based source of omega-3s, and this is very, very important for vegans because vegans are notoriously low in omega-3s. So you ask yourself, why do fish have high levels of omega-3s? Well, do they biosynthesize them? Well, actually, the reason why they do is because they eat algae, and algae is a tremendous source of omega-3s. So you're going to the root there. And there are a number of supplements that are algae oil that contain high levels of omega-3s, particularly DHA. So this is one of them by Orlo Nutrition. And that is another way to make sure that you're getting your proper levels of omega-3s. And there's a couple of other kinds of fats that I haven't talked about yet. One is MCT, so medium chain triglycerides that you can find in coconut oil. So coconut oil is actually a very good oil to cook with because it has a very high flash point, and it's not as negative as some of the other seed oils that I mentioned before, like canola oil or soybean oil or grapeseed oil, etc. So MCT, medium chain triglycerides, are converted by the liver to ketones. So this is why a lot of people squirt MCT oil in their coffee in the morning, because if you are in a low glycemic state because you're in an intermittent fasting protocol, or you eat a low glycemic diet, so you have low blood glucose, your liver will convert MCT, medium chain triglycerides, into ketones for use by your mitochondria to produce energy, and you remain in a fasted state, in a low glycemic state. So MCT oil or MCT, medium chain triglycerides, that you find in coconut oil um, um, can be used, like I said, for energy. Then you have like olive oil. Now, this is an organic, um, extra virgin olive oil, and olive oils have omega-9 fatty acids. Now, omega-9 is pretty much a neutral fat. It's not inflammatory or anti-inflammatory. It's neutral, but olive oil has many other fantastic attributes to extol. It has a polyphenol known as oleocanthal, which has proven to be a powerful anti-inflammatory and anti-carcinogen. And it is fantastic to make salad dressings with, for example. And it's a staple, of course, of the Mediterranean diet, which has been associated with longevity. And but you don't want to cook at high temperatures with it. It's fine to cook with avocado or olive oil at low temperatures, but they have a relatively low flash point, so you don't want to do that. You want to use them mostly for salad dressings. And I said, yeah, if you can cook at low temperatures, then that's fine. Okay, so that is a lot about fats. I hope that you found this informative. There's so much different information to pull apart about nutrition. And, I'm on this journey for myself and my family to understand as much as I can about nutrition in order to live a more healthy and thriving life. Um, and it's a pleasure to share this information with you.